Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battles of the American Civil War with your esteemed host, Bang and Dang. Well, Bang and Dang's just here, kind of. But we got one battle for you today on this episode, and that's it, because it's a big battle. It's a big battle, the Battle of Cedar Creek. Pretty much, Jubal Early is bye-bye from the Shenandoah Valley after this, so... And bye-bye threatening Washington, and bye-bye supplies going through the valley for the Confederate armies. Sucks for them.
Yeah, they're about cut off from everything.
But before we get into the Battle of Cedar Creek, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. All the links will be in the description for everything. You can get this podcast plus our other podcasts, Outlaws and Gunslingers, where we do Wild West, Hells Angels, Mafia, any kind of true crime stuff, serial killers, all that good stuff over there. Give us a subscription. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, give us a review, and you go check out our other podcasts as well, which is on Spotify or Apple, and you give us a review, share us with your friends. It says Spitify question. We got the big old Battle of Cedar Creek, otherwise known as the Battle of Belle Grove, which is October 19th during the Civil War, obviously. It took place in the Shenandoah Valley of Northern Virginia near Cedar Creek, Middletown, and the Valley Pike.
Fantastic. March
of 1864, Major General Ulysses S. Grant was summoned from the Western Theater, promoted to Lieutenant General, and given command of all Union armies. Grant's strategy, different from his predecessors, was for the Union armies to fight together with the objective of destroying the army of the Confederates instead of conquering territory.
It's like Grant is either a witch or a genie. He got summoned.
Right. We summoned. Grant. Doing a rain dance and shit.
He summoned Grant, and he's like, "Oh, let me go back. I forgot my bottle."
Like, no, we got plenty of hair. Don't worry. He would use multiple Union forces at the same time, making it difficult for the Confederates to transfer forces from one battlefront to another. It's almost like, nobody thought about this for 3 years.
Well, the other guy is like, "Oh, we got him to push back. Should we follow him?" Nah.
We'll push back to our original lines, too.
Right. Yeah, we'll just go back and we'll do it again. Jeez. In Virginia, Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia was a target.
Of course it would be.
Not only would Lee's army be pursued, but steps would be taken to cut off its supplies that came from Virginia's Shenandoah Valley. Finally, those supplies
they've been trying to be fair.
Right. Those supplies often moved on the Virginia Central Railroad, the Virginia and Tennessee Railroad, and other railroads. And then they all became targets as well. The Confederate Army of the Valley was created by Lee, 1864, month of June, as a detachment of the Army of Northern Virginia's 2nd Corps, and was commanded by, you guessed it, Lieutenant General Jubal Early.
Well, its purpose was to protect the Shenandoah Valley, clearly, which was a major source of food for Lee's Army of Northern Virginia. Another objective was to threaten the Union's capital of Washington, forcing the Union to divert resources and relieve some of the pressure on the Army near the Confederate capital of Richmond. In June, Early beat Union forces in the Battle of Lynchburg and the Second Battle of Kernstown. Then July 9th, he won the Battle of Monocacy in Maryland. 2 days later, the closest to the White House the Confederates would ever get, he threatened Washington in the Battle of Fort Stevens, but was repelled by reinforcements rushed to the battlefield.
If he would have actually been prepared, it could have been something. But he was just like, let's just see what they. Well,
he waited 2 days, remember, when he could have just rushed in and
stupidity.
Early then sent cavalry commanded by Brigadier General John McCausland on a northern raid in late July that resulted in the burning of Chambersburg, Pennsylvania,
Pennsylvania.
Remember, right?
They got ravaged.
Right. Well, Virginia more than anybody, but yeah.
Right. Pennsylvania as well, though. West Virginia.
Right.
Crazy stuff going on there. After
Tennessee,
good stuff. Mizzou. Everywhere.
Right.
After the cavalry raid that burned Chambersburg, Grant, he decided that Early's threat had to be eliminated.
He said, that's it, I've had enough.
Early August, Grant consolidated 4 military organizations into the Middle Military Division. Major General Philip Sheridan, he was like, guess what? You're in the command, and you're going to take that command August 7th. And he's calling his force of cavalry and infantry the Army of the Shenandoah. At its creation, the Army had 3 objectives. First, drive Early's army away from the Potomac River region and lower northern Shenandoah Valley and pursue it southward. Second,
key is pursue it.
Right. We drove them away. Did you follow them? Nah.
Did you even occupy the land that they left from? Nope.
We didn't even burn anything. Matter of fact, we left all the rice and all that shit. I think they had rice.
But we burned the jerky.
Right.
They always burn the jerky for the reason.
jerky. Secondly, there was to destroy the valley's capacity to provide Lee's army with food and supplies. Last, disrupt the Virginia Railroad. Got to do that.
Got to do that. Well, Sheridan was cautious in August because of a concern that any military disaster could hamper the re-election of President Abraham Lincoln.
Politics.
In September, Sheridan had decisive victories over Early at the Third Battle of Winchester and at Fisher's Hill. Which
So that proves the only reason why this war has been going on for freaking 4 years is politics.
Obviously, we all know that Lincoln wants to continue the war.
Wow.
Well, I mean, he wants to continue the war to win. We don't want to. McClellan is running to end the war, but give the Confederates their land.
Right. Just like it's over with.
No. Sheridan took possession of the Shenandoah Valley as far as north as Staunton, Virginia, and considered Early's army cleared from the valley. With Early much less of a threat, Sheridan could focus on denying the Confederacy the means of supplying its armies in Virginia.
All right.
Sheridan's army, which was mostly cavalry, did this aggressively, burning crops, barns, mills, and factories.
I bet he did. And also humans.
Why burn them when you could just take control of it? And that's your stuff now.
Because they don't want to have to man them.
Okay.
So that you have to leave people in these places.
Well, every one of these got rebuilt probably afterwards, after the war. So
it's like the board game Risk. You take over territory, you got to leave somebody behind, and then that weakens your army.
I guess. Sure.
This very operation,
not if you are fortunate enough to have a cannon.
Yes. This operation, conducted primarily from September 26th to October 8th, had been known to locals ever since as the Burning or Red October.
Red October.
It encompassed the area of Harrisonburg.
Red October?
Right. That was a boat movie, wasn't it? Or a submarine?
That was Red. Was it?
Hunt for Red October.
Yeah. But September 26th to October 8th, almost the same amount of days in each month. Why couldn't it have been known as Red September?
Right. Right. Or like the harvest or something.
The burning of the harvest. I guess it is the burning. So, right.
It encompassed the area of Harrisonburg, Port Republic, Staunton, and also Waynesboro.
Waynesboro, party on, excellent,
burn on. Sheridan claimed that when the destruction was completed, the valley from Winchester up to Staunton, 92 miles, will have but little in it for man or beast. Hey, dang, what the freaking animals do to you?
Right.
Jeez. While this action achieved one of Grant's goals, Grant preferred attacks on the railroads that supplied Lee's army in Richmond.
Yeah, as well.
He's like, I mean, that's cool and all, but did you get the railroads? And he's like, nah.
After Early's September 22nd defeat at Fisher's Hill, he retreated up the valley, which was south to Mount Jackson. On September 26th, he was reinforced by the infantry division of Major General Joseph B. Kershaw, who also brought a battalion of artillery.
Yeah, he's been taking a beating for a couple months.
Early? Yeah. It's been pretty bad. More reinforcements arrived on October 5th when the Laurel Brigade of Brigadier General Thomas L. Rosser also joined Early and was combined with two other cavalry brigades to form a division commanded by Rosser.
Okay.
Early believed that the addition of Kershaw's division, which had 2,700 fighters, Rosser's brigade, who had 600 men, the artillery, and the return of stragglers from the September battles almost made up for his losses at Winchester and Fisher's Hill.
So that worked out.
Almost. We're back almost at full strength.
After much of the burning was conducted, Sheridan's cavalry, they began moving north down the valley. The Confederate cavalry.
I guess that's the way the valley goes down.
Right. The Confederate cavalries of Major General Lunsford L. Lomax and Rosser, they harassed Sheridan's rear guard. By the 8th of October, Rosser's men were near the Union Cavalry Division commanded by Brigadier General George Custer.
Georgie.
While Lomax was near the division commanded by Brigadier General Wesley Merritt. On the very evening, an annoyed Sheridan told his cavalry commander, Brigadier General Alfred Torbert, he said, whip the rebel cavalry or get whipped.
What is it? He's going to whip them himself?
Holy shit. 9th of October, in the Battle of Tom's Brook, Custer and Merritt routed the old Rebs in a battle that was described by Torbert as the most decisive the country had ever witnessed.
What they call that?
I didn't say that. They said it.
What they call that, right? What they call that?
It was last week or the week before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like the running.
Yeah, the running of the rebels, right? Wasn't it? Something like that?
It became known as the Woodstock races due to how fast the rebels ran away.
Crazy.
Hilarious.
Look at Custer. At least he had something.
Custer's been doing some shit here. He have some name to fame before he gets slaughtered.
He should just retired.
Mid-October, Army of the Shenandoah. Well, he's young. He's only 20-something?
Right.
Mid-October, Army of Shenandoah had 11 divisions plus artillery units, totaling about 31,610 effectives with 90 artillery pieces. A few days before the battle, Sheridan attended a meeting in Washington, and Major General Horatio Wright commanded the Army in Sheridan's absence. Union forces were divided into the following. 6th Corps had 3 infantry divisions and an artillery brigade and was commanded by Major General Horatio Wright. When Wright temporarily commanded the Army during Sheridan's initial absence from the battle, the Corps was commanded by Brigadier General James B. Ricketts.
Ricketts.
At least one historian says Wright's fighters had a reputation for steadfastness and reliability. 6th Corps consisted of 8,506 infantry effectives. In addition, they had 600 men operating 24 artillery pieces. Damn.
Well, that's fantastic.
600 men operating 24 artillery pieces?
At least 3, 4 to a thing, so that's what, 60? It's only 60 men still. No, it's 120. 19th Corps consisting of 2 infantry divisions, commanded by Brigadier General William Emery. 8,748 infantry
What if he's
effectives.
the founder of the Emery Board?
Maybe. In addition, it had 414 men operating 20 artillery pieces. The 19th Corps was considered...
You need a team of 10 to shoot a cannon. Most artillery pieces were manned by teams of at least 9, though only 2 were needed in a pinch.
Right. Damn.
So 10 on 24, that's 240. So why the hell they had like 20 men on each?
Hey, whatever. They can be like a machine gun.
How many people did they use a cannon? Cannons weighed about 450 pounds each and are about 4 feet long. A 2-wheeled cannon, drum and mortar battle. Each cannon needed 4 to 5 men to fire it.
Right.
So how many did it take to operate? Consisted of 9 men. This included the gunner, who was the chief of the piece, the chief of Kazan, and the 7 artillerymen who were all assigned numbers for servicing. Oh, so you had to clean the fucking barrel probably.
Right.
You had to do a bunch of shit.
A light artillery battery.
it.
A light artillery battery is 66 men at full regulation strength. So that's a light battery.
Yeah, but a battery could have how many?
At least 6.
3 or 4 things.
19th Corps considered far behind the 6th Corps in discipline and efficiency.
Hey, what are you going to do, though?
Cavalry Corps consisting of 3 divisions, section of horse artillery. Damn, there's a horse artillery too? Fantastic. It's commanded by Major General...
Horses with fucking mini cannons.
Right. This was commanded by Major General Alfred Torbert. 7,500 men plus 642 artillerists operating 30 artillery pieces. 3 division commanders were Merritt, Colonel William Powell, and Custer. 15 regiments were completely armed. 3 more were partially armed with the carbine version of the 7-shot Spencer repeating rifle. Oh, man.
Army of West Virginia, on the other hand, functioned as an infantry corps in Sheridan's Army of the Shenandoah and is sometimes incorrectly identified as the 8th Corps. Why? It was commanded by Brigadier General George Crook and had 2 divisions plus an artillery brigade. Crook's effectiveness for the battles consisted of only 4,000 infantrymen plus 200 artillerists man and 16 artillery pieces.
Right.
To bolster Crook's small force, a provisional divisional of 1,000 men was attached. The provisional division's reliability in combat was suspect.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Well, they're provisional.
Right. Early's Confederate Army of the Valley, estimated 21,102 men.
Outgunned by 10,000, man.
In addition to its troops originally from the Army of Northern Virginia 2nd Corps, this figure includes over 3,000 men from Kershaw's infantry, 2,206 from Rosser's cavalry, after the addition of Laurel Brigade, and also 1,101 artillerists. That's nice.
Just the one, huh?
The Confederate forces were divided into the following. Infantry consisted of 5 divisions. Early's division commanders were Major General Stephen Dotson Ramseur, Brigadier General John Pegram, Major General John Brown Gordon, Brigadier General Gabriel C. Wharton. Kershaw commanded the 5th Division, which was attached from Lieutenant General James Longstreet's 1st Corps.
What the fuck is this guy at?
I think he's still nursing that. Didn't he get like shot in the leg or something?
I thought he got shot in the face or something.
I don't think that was Longstreet. The remainder of Longstreet's 1st Corps, which was an elite Confederate fighting unit, it should be, was not present.
Oh, why wouldn't it have been?
Why would you put your best out there? Gordon's was Early's 2nd in command. Oh, he's a major general. So
Cavalry consisted of 2 divisions. Major General Lomax commanded his own, and it consisted of 4 brigades. His men were armed with rifles and had no pistols or sabers, making the division more like mounted infantry, which could not fight on horseback. Okay. Rosser commanded Fitzhugh Lee's division, which was composed of 3 brigades, including Rosser's Laurel Brigade. Rosser had a reputation as one of the most aggressive and successful cavalry commanders in the Army of Northern Virginia, but had never commanded anything larger than a brigade of 4.
Oh.
The Laurel Brigade was composed of confident veterans with many victories over Union cavalry.
Wow.
Yeah, of course they did.
I mean, what are you going to do after decisive victory at Tom's Brook? Sheridan and many of the Union believed that the Early's rebels was no longer a threat. Those Rebs ain't coming back. The Union Army began moving down the valley, which was northeast, and I believe, and they believed that it would fight elsewhere.
Nope. Well, not yet.
Right. While Crook's Army of West Virginia and the 19th Corps camped near Cedar Creek in Middletown, the 6th Corps was further away on the road to Front Royal. The cavalry divisions of Merritt and Custer, they were near Fisher's Hill. While Powell's 2nd Cavalry Division, they occupied Front Royal itself already.
Because Grant still wanted the Confederate Virginia Central Railroad disabled, 2 brigades of cavalry from Powell's division were sent south to attack them railroads at Gordonsville and Charlottesville. There's good men on both sides. In an order written October 12th, Wright's 6th Corps were ordered to depart on the next day through the Ashby's Gap for Alexandria, Virginia. From there, Sheridan planned to send the 6th Corps to reinforce Grant and the Army of the Potomac.
Sounds like a good plan. Concealed.
Well, this is planned before they knew they were about to fight this battle.
Right. Concealed from Sheridan's army, Early's troops arrived at Hupp's Hill, just north of Strasburg, on the 13th of October, 1864. They deployed in battle formation, began shelling the camp of the 19th Corps. Early's attack was a surprise for the Union infantry, and Crook originally believed the Confederates had sent a small reconnaissance force for the purpose of causing the Union soldiers to reveal their strength and location. I mean, why not? Wouldn't you? Oh, yeah. He's like, I'll do it. They're probably doing it. Colonel Joseph Thoburn's division from the Army of the West Virginia, they moved forward to silence the guns. They fought with Kershaw's divisions at Abrams Stickley Farm, which resulted in 209 Union dead or missing or wounded, 182 Confederate casualties as well.
The Confederates withdrew through Strasburg to Fisher's Hill in the late afternoon. Sheridan recalled Wright's 6th Corps that evening as a precaution, and they started back to Middletown. Look, what the fuck?
Right.
On October 14th. The engagement was a mistake for Early, as the 9,000 veterans from the 6th Corps made a big difference in the battle that would take place 6 days later.
I bet it did.
October 13th, Secretary of War Edwin Stanton requested that Sheridan come to Washington to discuss the next objective for his army, for Sheridan's army. Grant and Stanton still wanted Sheridan to move his army towards Gordonsville and Charlottesville to threaten Confederate railroad operations.
Ooh, but you're told to come back home from the mothership, so what do you do?
Right.
Well, Sheridan, he continued to argue that the logistics would be difficult. With the skirmish at Hupp's Hill over, Early removed to Fisher's Hill, Sheridan departed for a meeting in Washington on 15th October. He left Wright in command. He's like, I'll be back, bud, in like 3 months. Sheridan ordered all 3 divisions of the cavalry to accompany him to Front Royal, intending to send them to destroy the Virginia Central Railroad Bridge. Finally, they arrived near Front Royal on the 16th of October. At this very time, Sheridan was notified that Early was sending wigwag signals, implying that Longstreet's 1st Corps might join him from Petersburg. Uh-oh. Well, this was disinformation, though. The Russians sent it on over and said, check this out. Hoping that it would induce the Federals to withdraw down the valley, but instead Sheridan sent his cavalry back to the infantry camps along Cedar Creek. And they're like, I don't believe you, Early.
We're not withdrawing at all.
Sheridan and his staff arrived in Washington on the morning of 17th October. 2 days is not bad.
Well, that very same day, Gordon climbed Massanutten Mountain and determined that the Union left was vulnerable, as the Union forces appeared to be relying on the mountain and rivers for defense.
Right.
Gordon persuaded Early to approve an attack on the Union left flank and believed they could destroy Sheridan's army.
Oh, shit, really?
Early's approval was contingent on Gordon finding a concealed route that would enable the Confederate troops to get around the Union left.
That's the only way to do it.
On the next day, Gordon scouted along the Shenandoah River, which was the North Fork, and found a narrow trail. He presented his findings to Early, and Early approved an attack. He said, we're going to do it on the morning of October 19th, boys. Get ready.
Problem is that trail big enough to get you some guys in at a reasonable rate. You're going to have to bring some mofos with you.
Yeah.
Not just like 5. The attack would be made before dawn, take advantage of the morning fog that normally occurred in the valley. Gordon would lead 3 divisions in rear attack on the Union left, while Kershaw's division would attack the front. Wharton's division and artillery would attack down the pike, northwest of Kershaw. waiting until Union artillery was turned toward Gordon and Kershaw. Oh, so they couldn't find. Okay. Rosser would move north along Cedar Creek, hoping to keep Blue Coats cavalry located on the Union right from coming to assistance on the Union left. Oh, all right. Look at that. Look at that. They never have a plan like this, right? Gordon's force would use the narrow mountain trail to get behind the Union left, which required an evening departure time in order to be in position before dawn, and that departure time would be the night of the 18th of October.
Yes, a small brigade of cavalry commanded by Colonel William H.F. Payne would move with Gordon with the mission of capturing Sheridan at his headquarters at the Bell Grove Plantation House near Middletown.
He's not there.
Right, Lomax would move via Front Royal to Newtown, later named Stephen City, where he could cut off a Union retreat down the Valley Pike. During the time Gordon had a command of the column of 3 divisions, Brigadier General Clement A. Evans would command Gordon's division. October 18th, the Confederate leaders synchronized their timepieces. They planned to be in position for the attack at 5 a.m.
Early's infantry began to form into 3 columns. That was on the evening of the 18th October. Gordon's column consisted of divisions of Gordon, commanded by Evans, Pegram, Ramseur, plus Payne's cavalry brigade. They had the farthest to march, departed about 8 p.m., just after it became dark. The men left behind anything that might rattle, and they followed the narrow trail in a single file. Oh, that's what I was hoping. That's what I was afraid of. But I guess you got to do what you got to do, right?
That's why they left so early.
The other 2 Confederate columns, commanded by Wharton and Kershaw, they departed about 1 a.m. on the 19th, early morning. Early rode with Kershaw to Cedar Creek. They hoped the Confederates' quiet approach was aided by presence of heavy fog. They're like, man, I hope it's so foggy in the morning.
Well, all 3 columns were indeed in position by 3:30 a.m. So look at them. They got an hour and a half to spare. 2 Confederate cavalries were also in position. Rosser's dismounted cavalry, minus Payne's brigade, was near the ford at Cupp's Mill. His men skirmished briefly with Custer around 4 a.m. Damn. Lomax's cavalry was east near Cedarville and Front Royal. His command was as far as 27 miles from Early's infantry, making cooperation difficult. Early joined Wharton around 5:15 a.m.
Oh, shit. Kershaw's division attacked the trenches of Thoburn's Union 1st Division around 5 a.m. Surprise was virtually complete, and most of the Army of West Virginia troops were caught unprepared in their camps. Many were asleep in their tents.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be some type of, well, I mean, guess war's war, right?
Right.
The Union 1st Division lost most of its organization as most of its men fled if they could. I mean, when you wake up in the morning, shit's happening, and your first thought is get the fuck out of there, right? You're in your skivvies, your gun's not even close to being loaded. It'll take you a half hour to do that. Fix bayonet. I would at least have my bayonet fixed every night.
Why would you not?
Right. Its 1st Brigade, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Wilds, kept 2 of 3 regiments organized.
Good for you, buddy. The Parcher Brigade.
66%. Yeah. Hall of Fame in baseball.
Parcher Brigade conducted a fighting withdrawal to the Valley Pike that took over 30 minutes. Union Captain Henry A. DuPont, chief of the Colonel Crook's artillery, saved 9 of his 16 artillery pieces while he kept them in action as he withdrew towards Middletown. Oh, damn, they're firing, running away while firing these bitches.
Oh, shit.
DuPont's efforts and Wilds' 2 regiments were the only thing other than fog slowing the initial Confederate thrust by Kershaw's division.
Wow.
The Union 1st Division commander, Colonel Thoburn, was mortally wounded by Confederate cavalry while trying to rally his troops near Middletown. Thoburn, you had a good run, buddy.
Colonel Rutherford B. Hayes, commander of the Union 2nd Division, right? He learned of the attack on Thoburn's division only a few minutes before his own division was attacked by a line of 7 brigades from Gordon's column. Evans' division was on the Confederate left, Ramseur's division on the right. Hayes had 2 brigades, and only his 1st brigade was in formation to receive Gordon's attackers. His 2nd brigade, located on his right, which was the southwest, was still in their tents.
You don't hear this?
All right. And then had Thoburn's retreating men racing through their camp. Oh, shit.
They were running past tents.
All right.
Get it? Soon, Hayes' division was also retreating. Most of his men retreated towards Bell Grove, while most of Thoburn's men retreated northeast down the pike. During the retreat, Hayes' horse was killed, and he was briefly knocked unconscious.
Oh, shit.
Although injured and almost captured, he escaped.
Damn, he would never been president.
Right. Further north, Union Colonel J. Howard Kitchen's provisional division of raw recruits fled after showing little resistance. Of course they did. On horseback, Kitchen was wounded in the foot, but continued trying to rally his men nonetheless.
I mean, it's just a foot.
Right. Well,
right.
What can go wrong with a little hole?
Right. Kitchen's 6th New York Heavy Artillery Regiment, coming in from camp near the wagons, supported one of DuPont's batteries. Although the old Rebs attacking force from Ramseur's division suffered minimal casualties, Brigadier Commander Colin Battle was seriously wounded. Crook Hayes and Kitching regroup. They regroup fragments of the two Union divisions near Belle Grove. They're like, come on, boys.
Well, unlike Crook's men, though, the Union 19 Corps was not caught totally unprepared. Its 2nd Division, commanded by Brigadier General Cuvier Grover, was planning to undertake a reconnaissance mission at 5:30 a.m., so they were already ready.
Look at this guy. Look at these guys.
Around 5:15 a.m., they could hear musket fire near the Army of West Virginia's position, and Grover positioned his men defensively with the bulk of his men behind fortifications.
Dude, that's beautiful.
The 19 Corps began receiving artillery fire from the south and east and was attacked from those directions by Confederate troops, commanded by Kershaw and Evans, less than 1 hour after the start of the battle.
Oh.
They're like, come and get it, baby.
Let's go. 19th Corps Commander Emory received unexpected assistance from Welds. He had a partial brigade from Crook's Army of West Virginia.
Well, they're running away over there, and they're like, yeah, let's stop.
Right. In the confusion of battle, Wild's two regiments had been unable to reunite with Crook and the retreating men from the Army of the West Virginia, so they offered assistance to Emory and Wright. Like, hey, we're here. When the partial brigade reported, Emory ordered it to attack, which would...
He's like, you ain't in my brigade. We're gonna send you guys out there first.
This would enable his men to have more time for reorientating the Union lines. Wright led a bayonet charge by Wild's men and received a bloody wound to his face. Oh, shit.
A bloody wound, huh? He got a bloody wound. A small group of Crook's men at Belle Grove, fortified by some of Emory's men, held its position for about 40 minutes until it was flanked.
Oh, they tried.
Their action enabled most of the Union headquarters units and supply trains to withdraw to safety.
Oh, shit.
In roughly 2 hours, Early had driven back 5 Union divisions, captured over 1,300 prisoners, and taken possession of 18 artillery pieces.
I was thinking that's a good win, right?
With many of Crook's men from the Army of West Virginia and the 19th Corps fleeing in disorder, the Union 6th Corps prepared a defense on a series of ridges further north of the Belle Grove plantation on the north side of the Meadow Brook.
Uh-oh, here we go. Sometime between 7 and 7:30 a.m., Early met Gordon on the east side of the Valley Pike near the road that leads to Belle Grove. At this very time, Kershaw and Evans were driving toward the camps of the Union 6th Corps. And the old rebel divisions of Pegram and Ramseur, they were aligned along the west side of the pike, north of Early and Gordon's meeting. Early later wrote, at the time of the meeting, the 19th and Crook's Corps were in complete rout, and their camps, with a number of pieces of artillery and a considerable quantity of small arms, abandoned. Oh, damn.
What were they supposed to do?
So they got some guns and artillery pieces. Nice.
He also noted that the position of the Union 6th Corps on a ridge west of Middletown was a strong one.
Yeah, they had to have a good, strong position
And plus, he said, Wharton's division has been driven back. Early and Gordon had conflicting versions of their meeting, but Early took over command, and Gordon returned to his division that had been temporarily commanded by Evans.
Okay.
From Gordon's point of view, he wanted to concentrate an attack on the 6th Corps, while Early was satisfied with the day's accomplishment.
Oh, you piece of shit.
From Early's point of view, he, quote-unquote, rode forward on the pike to ascertain the position of the enemy in order to continue the attack.
All right,
Wharton's division plus artillery followed Early down northeast the pike.
Acting Union 6th Corps Commander Ricketts had his men move into position with about 20 minutes of the start of the Confederate offensive. His 3rd Division of Colonel J. Warren Kiefer was on the Union right, with the 1st Division of Brigadier General Frank Wheaton on his left. Further northeast, 2nd Division of Brigadier General George W. Getty, he marched close to the south side of Middletown. All 3 Union divisions were eventually pulled back to a defensive position on the northwest side of Middlebrook. Some cohesion was lost for this withdrawal, as Ricketts was wounded.
Oh, poor Ricketts.
The old Rebs attacked again around 7:30 a.m., with Kershaw attacking Kiefer and Evans attacking Wheaton. Here we go, boys.
Although initially repulsed, Kershaw and Evans drove the 2 Union divisions northwest by 8 a.m.
No shit.
This put 2 Confederate divisions, which was Kershaw and Evans, behind Getty's right.
Uh-oh.
At that time, Getty's 2nd Division became the only organized Union infantry south of Middletown. With no support on his right, Getty moved his division back about 300 yards to a stronger defensive position at the town cemetery on a partially wooded hill west of Middletown.
Makes sense.
For over an hour, Getty's division defended this position against Confederate frontal assaults from the divisions of Ramseur, Pegram, and Wharton.
Uh-oh. There in this very time, Getty assumed command of the 6th Corps because of the wounding of Ricketts. Brigadier General Lewis Grant, he assumed command of the division. 30 minutes of artillery fire, Grant finally moved back and rested for about 20 minutes. He then moved the division back about 1 mile, unopposed, where he found support from Union cavalry on his east side.
All right.
It worked out.
Custer and Merritt's Union cavalry divisions were north of the infantry when the Confederate attack began. Although Rosser had skirmished with Custer's men, he appeared tentative and did not press an attack. While waiting for orders, both Merritt and Custer sent their escort companies to the Valley Pike, to attempt to stop Union infantrymen from fleeing toward Winchester. It's like, where are you guys going?
Right.
Between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m., Wright ordered Torbert to move the cavalry from the Union right to the left, leaving 3 companies from Custer's division to face Rosser. Custer and Merritt moved to the west side of the Valley Turnpike about 3/4 of a mile northeast of Middletown.
All right, working out. Although they faced strong artillery fire, they prevented Early from getting to the rear of the Union Army. On his return trip from the Washington Conference, Sheridan spent the night in Winchester on the 18th of October.
What the hell's going on over here?
6 a.m. on the 19th of October, pickets south of Winchester reported to him that they heard the distant sounds of artillery fire. Sheridan assumed the noise was from Grover's reconnaissance and dismissed the report. As additional reports arrived, he ordered the horses to be saddled and ate a quick breakfast. He's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I've got to eat, though.
By 9 a.m., he was riding south to the Valley Pike with a full belly.
Sheridan noticed that the sounds of battle were increasing in volume quickly, so he inferred that his army was retreated in his direction. He's like, shit. Right. He encountered retreating men and wagons less than 2 miles south of Winchester.
Oh, man.
Hearing stories from panic-stricken men that all was lost, he ordered a line set up to intercept stragglers. Oh. He's like, get your fucking asses back here.
Right.
Wright had already begun to organize a defensive line between Newtown and Middletown. Sheridan arrived around 10:30 a.m. and began to rally the men to complete the line. His presence inspired his soldiers, and one soldier described it as like an electric shock.
Oh,
the big guy's here now.
Oh, man. 10 a.m. Early believed he had a rebel victory.
Not so fast.
Captured 13.
A little early.
Right. Captured 1,300 Union prisoners, 24 artillery pieces, and driving 7 infantry divisions off the field. He's like, look at that shit. Lee's going to be so proud. When Early rode into Middletown, he found that the Confederate attack had been stalled by Union artillery and cavalry. Ironically, the main reason 2 of the Union cavalry divisions were present for the battle was Early's Longstreet ruse from a few days earlier. Turned out to bite you in the ass.
Right.
Instead of exploiting his victory, Early ordered a halt in his offensive to reorganize, a decision for which he later received criticism from such as Gordon. He was like, I don't think that was a good idea.
In the second meeting with Early, Gordon wanted to press the attack against the Sixth Corps immediately.
Yes.
Later wrote that the fatal halting converted the brilliant victory of the morning into disastrous defeat in the evening.
It's true.
Early's main reason for caution was concern over the Union cavalry, which had repeating rifles, and they were on the Confederate flanks.
Yeah, that's rough.
Another problem was that many of the hungry Confederate troops had stopped to plunder the Union camps abandoned in the early morning attack. What the fuck you want them to do, man?
You can't stop them.
Right.
By 11:30 a.m., the old Rebs line was ready to continue to advance. The Early attacked with Gordon's, Kershaw's, and Ramseur's division. After an advance of about 1.5 miles, the old Confederate attack stopped at about 1 p.m. Early's reasons for the ending the attack were the same issues causing his caution a few hours earlier. Union cavalry, missing troops that were plundering the Union camps still, and he had exhausted and hungry soldiers.
hungry soldiers.
And he had exhausted and hungry soldiers who didn't get to pillage the freaking camp.
Right. Well, when Sheridan arrived at the scene of the battle at 10:30, he assumed that Early's Longstreet ruse from a few days earlier was true.
Oh.
He's like, Longstreet did come. Well, his division. After interrogating prisoners, he learned that only Kershaw's division from Longstreet's corps were present. Sheridan also feared that Longstreet was approaching from Front Royal to trap the Union Army between Longstreet and Early. Once Sheridan received confirmation, which was about 3:30 p.m., that Longstreet was indeed not near Front Royal, he ordered an attack. He said, all right.
Union counterattack began just before 4 p.m. Custer's division was back on the Union far right, further northwest from the main infantry line facing Rosser. Merritt's division was on the Union left on the southeast side of the pike. 19th Corps, Brigadier General William Dwight, now commanding the 1st Division, and Grover returning to command the 2nd, was on the right of the main Union line. The 6th Corps was to the left of Grover. Crook's Army of West Virginia was held in reserve, close to the turnpike, as support for the 6th Corps. That's nice.
Sheridan's plan was for his cavalry to contain the Confederate flanks while the 19th Corps turned the Confederate left flank and drove them east of the pike, which would prevent Early's army from using the Valley Pike's bridge across Cedar Creek to escape.
Okay.
The Union infantry attack stalled. Dwight was able to overlap Gordon's left flank, but could not push Gordon's division toward the pike. On Gordon's right, the divisions of Kershaw and Ramseur were positioned behind stone walls and assisted by artillery.
Uh-oh.
Grover's division and Wright's 6th Corps had little success against them, and Grover was again wounded.
Oh, my.
He's like, shit.
Well, the Union left. Merritt's cavalry made 2 charges only to be repulsed by rebel artillery and enfilading fire from enemy infantry that had resisted the advance of the 6th Corps. Merritt's 3rd charge, bolstered by the 6th Corps moving forward, Confederate troops gave way in disorder. Moments before the Confederate troops fled, Union Colonel Charles Russell Lowell, commander of Merritt's Reserve Brigade, located at the Union Cavalry's left flank, was mortally wounded at Thorndale Farm.
On the extreme Union right, Custer's 1st Brigade was engaged in half-hearted fire with Rosser. Custer left his brigade commander with 3 of his regiments and took the remaining men from his division toward the infantry attack on his left. He planned to get to the rear of Early's men and secure the Valley Pike at the bridge over Cedar Creek, which, like we said, would cut off the route of retreat.
All right.
As many of the Confederate soldiers saw Union cavalry moving toward their escape route, they began to panic and retreat. They said, fuck this, we're going over the bridge now.
Shit. Wow. The appearance of Custer riding toward the creek was a signal for Dwight to resume his infantry attack. The remnants of Gordon's division, already panicked from Custer's appearance, now had a renewed attack from Dwight and more bluecoats on the Confederate right. Soon, most of Gordon's men fled toward the pike, and it caused a domino effect that spread to Kershaw's division and then Ramseur's. There in this very time, Ramseur, who was already wounded, tried to rally his men. His horse shot dead, then he mortally wounded.
Oh, bye-bye, Ramseur.
Wow.
While Custer was on the Union right, Merritt's division was on the left. Colonel Thomas Devon's 2nd Brigade from Merritt's division took possession of the Cedar Creek Bridge before Custer got there. So Custer's like, what the fuck, man?
Right.
So Custer took his 2 lead regiments, which was the 5th New York and 1st Vermont, to the right of the bridge where they forded the creek and continued chasing the fleeing enemy up, which was south of the Valley Pike. Near 5:30 p.m., the divisions of Wharton, Pegram, and Warford's Brigade from Kershaw's division were the last Confederate units to cross Cedar Creek.
Fantastic. Worked out well for them, right? The fields between Cedar Creek and Fisher's Hill filled with fleeing men, wagons, ambulances, and artillery, all being chased by Union cavalry using sabers. Ooh. The situation worsened for the old Confederates when a small bridge on the Valley Pike south of Strasburg collapsed, making it impossible to cross with wagons or artillery. Early's army was forced to abandon all the captured Union guns and wagons from the morning attack, as well as most of its own. Oh my goodness. Sheridan's pursuit ended at nightfall. The retreating Confederate soldiers gathered temporarily on Fisher's Hill and then moved further south before dawn on the next day. Damn.
The official report for the Union listed 644 officers and men killed, 3,430 wounded, 1,591 captured or missing, which was a total of 5,665 casualties for the Union.
Wow.
Both the 6th and 9th Corps had over 2,000 casualties, but the 6th Corps had more killed and wounded.
Shit.
As the principal victims of the surprise attack, the Army of West Virginia had 540 men captured or missing. 790 of the 19th Corps, 2,383 casualties were captured or missing.
Jeez.
Crook's Army of West Virginia had 2 division commanders killed or mortally wounded, which were Colonel Stolburn and Kitching.
Damn it.
Jeez.
2 Union brigade commanders were murdered as well. Brigadier General Daniel Bidwell from the 6th Corps and Colonel Charles Russell Lowell from the Cavalry Corps. Confederate casualties, which are less certain,
Always are
estimated to be about 320 killed, 1,540 wounded, and 1,050 missing or captured. This totals around 2,900, which is far less than the Union. The Confederates also lost 300 wagons, ambulances, and 43 artillery pieces, including 20 that they captured from the old Bluecoats early that morning. They lost, I think that was even worse than the men.
Right. The highest-ranking Confederate casualty was Major General Ramseur, who was an infantry division commander who was mortally wounded and captured, yes. Union Army captured many more soldiers than the 1,591 count, including some soldiers multiple times, but many prisoners escaped in the darkness while their captors searched for more men.
Right.
Among those that escaped was Early's artillery chief, Colonel Thomas Carter. He said, get out of here.
Look at you, Colonel Thomas Carter. 3 factors contributed to the initial success by the old Rebs. First, many of the soldiers in the Union Army, they believed the campaign against Early's army was over, which caused a lack of vigilance. Second, the terrain and poor placement of the Union infantry units created a vulnerability that allowed the old Rebs to surprise, flank, and outnumber segments of the Union Army. Lastly, Union cavalry wasn't misplaced. They'd leave them open to the left flank. They're like, why would we leave the open left flank?
Once the Union cavalry was utilized, it had a crucial role in the Union victory, though. Cavalry accounted for nearly half of the Medal of Honor winners at Cedar Creek. They got 10 of 21 awarded, even though it had only about 1/4 of the men present.
Wow.
2 days after the battle, Sheridan sought promotions for 2 cavalry commanders, who was Merritt and Custer, and 1 infantry commander, who was Getty. Many people gave Sheridan credit for the Union victory, and he was featured on the cover of Harper's Weekly.
Uh-oh.
Harper's Weekly was like your Time magazine back then.
You ain't getting. That's beautiful, Sheridan. Look at you, bud. It is beyond dispute that Sheridan had an electrifying effect on his men when he arrived at the battlefield. Others believe that Wright deserves much of the credit, as his Sixth Corps stopped the old rebel attack, and Wright's tactical judgments made it possible for Sheridan to successfully rally his men anyhow.
We give them both credit.
Right. Some credit the Union victory can be given to Confederate leader Jubal Early.
Fuck it, we'll give it to him too.
Although the early morning Confederate infantry and artillery attack was well planned and attained total surprise, Early's cavalry was divided and awkwardly placed. And plus he decided, let's not attack.
All right. The Confederate Army relative inactivity after 10 a.m., one of Gordon's complaints, allowed the Union Army to reorganize and eventually win this battle. Gordon, the architect of the early morning attack and a critic of Early, received blame from Early for the stalling of the attack. Early, you did it.
I know.
Early claimed that excessive plundering by Gordon's division depleted his force.
That's true.
And the depletion plus the threat of Union cavalry on his right flank caused a pause. And we'll take a pause for the cause.
A pause for the cause. I mean, it's true.
No.
Sheridan's victories in Shenandoah Valley helped boost President Lincoln's re-election campaign. Earlier in August, Lincoln was being advised that his re-election was in very much doubt.
And he was like, you might lose this McClellan fella.
The Union Army's numerical superiority was in trouble, and the country was tired of war. Lincoln, he was overjoyed with the victory at Cedar Creek as it came 3 weeks before the presidential election. Sheridan enjoyed instant acclaim. He didn't even have to have an election. Country at war, right? Sheridan enjoyed instant acclaim, and poet Thomas Buchanan Reed, he wrote a popular poem, Sheridan's Ride, that added to the general's fame. Look at you.
Sheridan's success propelled him to status only eclipsed by Grant and William Tecumseh Sherman. And he would eventually become commanding general of the United States under
Grant. Under Grant.
Right? Or was it Sherman under Grant and Sheridan under Rutherford B. Hayes? One of the two.
One of them.
An equestrian statue of Sheridan rallying his men at Cedar Creek, sculpted by Gutzon Borglum, was dedicated in 1908 and stands in Washington, D.C. Sheridan Circle. Contrasting Sheridan's fame, Early's status declined considerably. He was accused of incompetence and mismanagement and no longer had the confidence of his subordinates.
Oh, no.
They're like, why the fuck did we have to lose Jeb Stuart?
Right. I mean, man, ever since Stonewall.
Yeah, pretty much.
Portions of his army were recalled to Richmond. 2nd of March, 1865, Early and the remnants of his army were defeated by Custer in the Battle of Waynesboro, and the Army of the Valley ceased to exist. Although Early escaped, his artillery, wagons, headquarters equipment, all captured, and his men captured, murdered, or scattered throughout the countryside.
Damn. Portions of the Cedar Creek battlefield are preserved as part of the Cedar Creek and Belle Grove National Historical Park, established in 2002.
No, that's nice.
The park encompasses about 3,700 acres across 3 counties and has trails, exhibits, and the Belle Grove Plantation Manor House. Oh. Belle Grove, built in the 1790s by the brother-in-law of future President James Madison, was listed in the Virginia Landmarks Register November 5th, 1968. Damn, dude, it was already 100-something years old.
Right.
It was also listed in the National Historic Register of Historic Places and as a National Historic Landmark August 11, 1969. The American Battlefield Trust and its partners have preserved more than 729 acres of the Cedar Creek battlefield in 19 different transactions since 1996.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Holy shit, well, Early probably fucked that one up, didn't he?
Yeah, it was terrible. He had them in the beginning.
I'm not going to lie, they had us in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, what are you going to do, bud?
It was like the Lions in San Francisco game.
Right, what are you going to do? And that, my friends, is the end of Early. Essentially, he might fight a little couple battles here and there, but he's done.
He's done.
Yeah, look at that. Cool. Good for you guys, Union. Finally doing some shit.
Right.
Took fucking 4 years, but...
Jeez.
Let's see what we got coming up next week. I think we got a big battle soon, which would be... Nope, we don't have a big battle. It's probably going to be St. Albans raid in Vermont. Oh, I got a Vermont, huh?
Hey.
Battle of Little Blue River in Missouri. And then we got the Battle of Bryan's Form in Missouri. Then we got the Second Battle of Independence in Missouri. And then we got a Class A Battle of Westport in Missouri.
What the fuck is Confederates doing up in Vermont? Holy shit.
It was the northernmost land action of the Civil War.
Nice. I like it.
Conducted out of the province of Canada by 21 Confederate soldiers who had recently failed in engagements with the Union Army and evaded subsequent capture.
Okay.
And they wanted to rob banks to raise money and to trick the Union Army into diverting troops to defend their northern border against further raids. That's not going to happen. They obtained the money, killed the loco, and escaped back to Canada.
Oh, shit. Good for those guys.
Yeah, that's right. Dude, this is like some Wild West shit happening in Vermont. Oh, wow, cool.
That sounds like that's gonna be a good story.
Yeah. So we'll probably have 3 or 4 next week, and then the week after that, probably 1 or 2. Westport's decent long, but we don't have another considerable battle until the Battle of Franklin in November, which is about 5, 6, 8 episodes away from us.
Happens.
Yeah, what are you going to do? And that's in Tennessee. We've got some Tennessee action because Battle of Nashville is coming up pretty quick, too. Yep, that's what we'll do then. Remember, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. We'll put the link in the description. Give us a review on Spotify, Apple. Share us with your friends. Answer that Spotify question. We'll be back for, a couple more battles next week on the battles of the American Civil War. We are the Mother Music Industry.
Bang, bang.